BYD was told by their political bosses, whoever, कि हमको टेस्ला को हराना है. Simple. तो उन्होंने कहा टेस्ला का R&D बजट क्या है? उन्होंने कहा $5 billion. तो he said you will spend $15 billion. Political diktat. तो पहले तो ये. अब वो $15 billion उनको उन्होंने लिया. 1,20,000 engineers on R&D. What are we spending on ideation and national security if we have to beat China? Sam Dam Dand Bhed in the national security foreign policy dimension.
Namaste, welcome to another episode of Sangam Business. We are joined here by General Raj Shukla sir. General Sahab was the GOC in C of Army Training Command and he is now serving as a member of UPSC. Sir, we are honored to have you here. Thank you so much for...
Thank you for calling me. It's a great honor and pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you, sir.
Look forward to a meaningful conversation.
So, I would like to know a little bit about your journey, sir.
So my journey is, my father was in the Air Force and he was a very simple man. So one day he asked me, what do you want to do? So because he was in the Air Force, perhaps the glamour of the uniform, and I said, I want to join the armed forces. And I didn't think of a second profession. I gave an exam, UPSC mein NDA ka. Perhaps it was luck, I got through that exam first time. So I went to the NDA. So मेरे time में I didn't have to go through the agony of choices कि ये करें या वो करें. It just so happened. And it has in retrospect turned out to be a remarkable journey. Because I honestly feel कि we have some very, shall we say what, scripted views of the armed forces. They are precisely the opposite. So let me just tell you a few. एक तो माना जाता है कि साहब बड़ी ना, it's a very regimented kind. Only orders are given and orders are implemented. What if I tell you that it is one of the most democratic setups? So a CO is strict between, what shall we say, working hours, 9 to 1. After 1, he's a brother. He's a father. Which organization where you have tea with troops and troops can tell you anything? They can tell the chief कि sir ये गलत हो रहा है वहाँ पे, or the chief goes back and rectifies it. I have seen it. So it is a democracy. It is the most, shall we say, equal opportunity organization in the world. आप देखिए General Rawat was the son of a lieutenant general. His father was, I think, the deputy chief. So Lieutenant General's son rises to be the chief in the army. Just before him, we had General Dalbir Singh Suhag, who was the son of a Jawan in the army. So Jawan ka ladka bhi chief banta hai. Can you think of a more equal opportunity organization?
So not in Bollywood and not in many other institutions in India.
So is the Indian Army really an extraordinary institution? आप कभी बात करें Sagat Singh की. I mean, it's the most remarkable journey of talent rising to the top and delivering to the cause of national security. So, अगर आप leadership की बात करें, this is my last phrase. You follow the leadership journeys of Sam Manekshaw, Sagat Singh, and P.S. Bhagat. So I call them Sam, Sagat, Bhagat. I think they will dwarf any leadership examples from other walks of life, where in other walks of life we've also set very high standards. So I'm a real fan of the armed forces because they have given me great opportunities, great people.
So that brings me to a very interesting question that I just happened to think of right now. You've led our track. So how much of our track is now percolating with Sam, Sagat, Bhagat into Labasna, for example? The IAS Training Academy?
So, there will be no direct comparisons because they are two different walks of life. But the fundamental attributes, I think, are common both to civil and military. For example, अच्छा मैं आपको बताऊँ, अगर if I tell you today, if I tell today's generation that be honest, be loyal, be magnanimous, don't be petty. आप कहेंगे साहब moral lecture कर रहा है. I can assure you, 40 years later, they will tell me that these attributes paid in life. I'm telling you from my observation. Be honest because it pays strategically. It is a strategic advantage. Integrity matters. You will win the respect of people अगर आप सच बोलें, if you give good advice. If you are not petty, you are magnanimous. देखिए, Indian Army, आप सोचेंगे साहब डिसिप्लिन पे चलती है, आर्मी एक्ट. सो देयर इज अ वेरी पावरफुल आर्मी एक्ट फॉर disobeying orders in certain situations. The punishment will be by death. Yet you have a person like Sam Manekshaw who said ki I have never had to use the army act. He enforced discipline by example, by asking people to emulate his leadership. आप ethos देखिए आर्मी का और आर्म फोर्सेस का. अभी 18 नवंबर को वी हैड द एनिवर्सरी ऑफ रजांगला. So what is रजांगला? 1962 में when the Indian Army suffered one of its most humiliating defeats and everybody was retreating, सब लोग पीछे हट रहे थे. रजांगला पास है लद्दाख में, वहाँ पे एक 13 कुमाऊं इन्फेंट्री बटालियन की 40 कंपनी थी, जिसके एक कंपनी कमांडर थे बाय जेंटलमैन कॉल्ड मेजर शैतान सिंह. तो शैतान कॉल्स हिज मेन एंड सेज यार ये सब पीछे हट रहे हैं, मुझे भी ऑर्डर्स मिले हैं कि यू कैन विड्रॉ. आई मीन ऑर्डर्स हैड बीन गिवन दैट चूज योर टाइम एंड विड्रॉ. हमें क्या करना चाहिए? और वो जो पिक्चर बनी ना 120 बहादुर, they are not people who've been to Harvard or not men of great academic distinction. वो आपस में
डिस्कस
करते हैं, सुलह करते हैं. और द जेसीओ कम्स एंड टेल्स हिम कि सर जो आपने सुबह बताया था, हम इस निश्चय पे पहुँचे हैं कि ये भारत माँ की धरती है. नाउ लुक एट हाउ द आर्ग्यूमेंट गेट्स एलिवेटेड. इसको हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं, भारत माँ की धरती है, इसको हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं. And that translates into an order. Shaitan Singh tells his men, जब ऊपर से और दुनिया भर के ऑर्डर आ रहे हैं, he makes this compact with his troops, 120 बहादुर, कि ये भारत माँ की धरती है, इसको हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं. अब देखिए, ये तो रही मीठी बात, कड़वी बात क्या है उसमें? He tells him कि अगर आपने पीठ पीछे की तो मैं आपको गोली मार दूंगा, बट अगर मैंने पीठ पीछे की आप मेरे को. एंड दे फाइट. उसमें से 110 उनको वीर गति प्राप्त होती है. ओनली 10 सर्वाइव. दे गेट ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ अवार्ड्स. बट 1300 चाइनीज आर किल्ड in a war when we were facing humiliating defeat. And the next day, the Chinese called for a ceasefire. Small acts of valor, strategic outcomes. Or, the winters are setting in November, so the next patrol to go and recover them can only go in February of 1963. और उस समय उनको लोगों के शव मिलते हैं, hand holding the rifle covered in snow, including Shaitan Singh, who never deserted that post. He could have gone back any time. आप बताइए, ये ethos है. एक छोटी सी कंपनी, 40 कंपनी, 13 कुमाऊं. This is what keeps the Indian Army going. There were no orders, there were no rules, there was no constitutional, shall we say, section. This ethos, कोई चिट्ठी थोड़ी ना लिखी गई थी कि भाई आप ऐसे करेंगे. It is this ethos which keeps the Indian Army growing. So I always say the Indian Army is not a profession, it's not a job, it's a calling. And the second point that I want to make is that national security needs talent and commitment of this order. अगर आप में इतनी प्रतिभा है और इतना कमिटमेंट है तब आप आएँ, अगर नहीं है तो मत आएँ. So,
Sir, this is, you set the bar too high for the rest of the conversation.
It's not my setting the bar.
No,
I mean, एक मिनट, आप ये तो सुनो, 120 बहादुर तो यार छोटे छोटे गांव से थे. Could they think so high? They were very ordinary men. And this is what I want to drive home. वो आपस में बात करते हैं and they go and tell Shaitan Singh. जब ऊपर से, by and large, many places the orders had been given to withdraw posts. He could have easily withdrawn. The point that I'm making is this: ethos is superior to law. Ethos is superior to rule of law. What drives organizations are these ethos. ये कहीं लिखा नहीं होता है. इट इज़ समथिंग. देखिए मैं आपको एक उदाहरण दी. वी हैव अ सिस्टम वेयर देयर इज अ कमांडिंग ऑफिसर और एक सूबेदार मेजर होता है हर बटालियन में. द सूबेदार मेजर इज द सीनियर मोस्ट अमंग्स द ट्रूप्स. बट अगर सीओ, अगर आप सूबेदार मेजर हैं और मैं सीओ हूँ और मैं आपको बोलूँ कि यार ड्यूक, आज ना आपने पलटन की बेइज्जती करा दी बिकॉज यू डिडंट डू दिस थिंग राइट, दैट चैप डजंट स्लीप. ही गोज बैक एंड टेल्स हिज मेन कि यार आज सीओ साहब ने बेइज्जती कर दी, ये दोबारा होना नहीं चाहिए. What is this which drives us? You're not punishing him with some law. You're just telling him कि सर बेइज्जती करा दी. I am a Hindu Brahmin, Kankuj Brahmin. I got commissioned into a Sikh unit of the artillery. Sikh. जब मैं वहाँ गया तो मैं हर इतवार को मैं गुरुद्वारा जाता था. I forgot my religion. My CO, who was a Hindu, punished a Sikh officer for trimming his beard because it was against the Sikh tenets. A Hindu officer punishing a Sikh officer. And why? Because Sikhism is the religion of everybody in that unit. Because the men come from that religion. And there will be other examples. अब आप मेरे को बताइए, in its design and its structure, is it not one of the most elevated?
Sir, I think that comes from the deep cultural DNA embedded in us. But when I said you set the standards too high, I see a lot of institutions in India which personally pains me that they are not, they're at a massive disparity. There is a huge gap between institutions or like the set standards. So this is what is also very interesting that you are here and you are in UPSC, where a lot of people in the forces in the front line say that bureaucracy in the system is appalling. You know, it's being a hampering factor. So how do you think your being there could shape, you know, things, could bring a, could kind of, you know, narrow this wedge? And now you think on the behalf of both defense and bureaucracy and aspirations of youth. How do you see all this coming together, and what steps you have taken or you plan to take?
So see, while the first three questions, I lavished huge praise on the armed forces. It's not that they're without faults. There are many areas, for example, we are not rising sufficiently to the procurement challenge. We are not rising sufficiently to the challenge of technological innovation. So if you are asking me what is the message for the future, I would say civil-military fusion. Today, civil, military, technological, administrative, financial bureaucracies have to come together. National security today is a wide-angled enterprise. National security is as much about economic prosperity as it is about strategic military delivery and technological prowess. तो देखिए इसमें सबको आना ज़रूरी है. If there can be no national security without economic productivity. There can be no national security without strategic heft. And there can be certainly no national security without technological prowess. You see it in Ukraine. मैं आपसे एक सवाल पूछता हूँ. If I ask you who are the generals of 1971, you will say Sam Manekshaw perhaps. You may say Sagat. अगर मैं आपसे पूछूँ World War II, you may say Patton, Montgomery. Who are the generals of Ukraine?
I think, sir, if I have to follow the lead, it's Sam Altman.
It is Elon Musk. It is Alex Carr. This is how technology has moved. So in Ukraine, I see the warfighter, the technologist, the innovationist, the entrepreneur, the theater of war and the marketplace come together. अब मेरे बताइए इसमें जो भी स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, so the civil servant has to step up, DRDO has to step up, we have to get private sector in, startups in fact Atmanirbharta in defense is all about this, getting private sector in, getting. So the whole dynamic has changed. We should not raise these questions कि military क्या करे और civil service क्या करे. It is a joint enterprise. और दूसरी बात मैं आपसे ये अर्ज करना चाहूँगा कि भाई फॉर वेरी लॉन्ग वी से कि भाई अमेरिका ने ये किया सो वी शैल डू दिस, चाइना में ये हो रहा है तो हम. When will we start setting our own standards? Why should there not be a podcast in London where somebody is discussing कि भाई इंडिया में इतनी अच्छी चीज़ हुई हम ये करेंगे? What is coming in the way? Aren't we the smartest human beings on earth? Kishore Mehbubani says that Indians beat the Chinese in the most competitive human laboratory in the world, USA. So we are smart. It is the ecosystem with all its strangulations. ये नहीं हो सकता, इसकी ज़रूरत नहीं है. We have to overcome that. So the larger argument I make is that everybody needs to step up the game. एक मैं दूसरी चीज़ आपसे बताऊं. For very long we have blamed the politician. यार politician नहीं करने देता ये. Today ask yourself. I mean, I see in many areas the politician is telling us, make theatre commands, do this, do that. हम बहाने मार रहे हैं.
So, sir, as you said that from the scourge of process and procedures.
I'm not saying that, I'm quoting the Prime Minister. He has said that liberate the forces of innovation, energy and enterprise from the scourge of process and procedure, niyamon ka jaal. And this niyamon ka jaal as much by civil servants as by defense officers. Defense bureaucracies are no less. So there is that outstanding example of Shaitan Singh, where there is no bureaucracy in Charlie company of 13 Kumar. And as you keep growing up, iski shuruaat, it was not thoroughly ill-intentioned. It was to create process that would help in delivery. Now we have created so much process that it is impeding delivery. So basically common sense has to kick in. Common sense says, bhai, outcome over process. Common sense says lethality over procedure. So yes,
that makes me ask that are there any since you also talk a lot about space, and in space we are doing autonomous operations just to keep human error out of the picture. So as Major Shaitan Singh martyred and did a heroic job, should we have any kind of a guidebook where all processes are sidelined for the sake of outcome? Do you think there has to be some guidebook which allows a certain autonomy of operation at the field times?
Let me see, you pack so many questions into one. Abhi dekhiye, the Americans set up their theatre commands in 1986 जब उन्होंने Barry Goldwater Act लाए थे. अभी now they are thinking of further refining the process. जो उस process में वो refine कर रहे हैं, वो कह रहे हैं US CENTCOM, Eurocom और AFRICOM इनको एक कमांड में कर दो. और जो theatre territorial commands हैं, उनमें they are doing a lot of फेरबदल. But which are the commands which are getting combatant command status? Space, cyber. It is so significant, space, cyber. I am saying in our case, the first theatre command which should get created are space and cyber. Combatize them. That is how the game has changed. Now you will say how. Look at what space is doing today. The LEO orbit and the geo orbit. Each offers unique national security attributes and each is a business layer. Abhi aap dekhiye what has Israel done. Israel knew where Nasrallah was hiding every night since 2006. They took him out in 2024. This is what space does, what people call offensive ISR. We do not even have persistent surveillance. So we have to move from to persistent surveillance and offensive ISR. You need to combatize space. Before Midnight Hammer, the first command which came in was US Spacecom. They reorbited their satellites to be in an ideal configuration to carry out strikes on Fardo. We have outsourced our space capacities to ISRO. It is entirely the wrong thing to do because ISRO's job is exploration. Man on the moon. It is not to give you military capacities. Military capacities come from investments in LEO. America has 42,000 satellites in the LEO. China has 12,000. We have 2. So aap dekh rahe hain. You have to have war fighters who understand space, not ISRO doing space for you.
Sir, so I mean...
The point I'm making is that each of these domains, Edge computing. You can have all your fantastic capacities in Delhi. The challenge is to take compute to the tactical edge, to Baramulla, to Pathankot, to Tabang. Now, that is a different exercise in itself. So the challenges of national security today are very complicated. They just cannot be left to one line. मैं शुरू पैरा में डाल दूं, we should move towards space, cyber. They have to be resourced. They have to be followed through, which needs a very deep understanding of these areas. Why they are not happening is because we don't have a sufficiently deep understanding of the area. Shaitan Singh valor has to be resourced with space. Shaitan Singh should know when the Chinese are attacking him, when they're distant 50 miles. Why does he come to know when he sees them visually?
So that brings me to 2-3 segments of this question. So what I understand is that Ukraine stands as a very fantastic example of unification of all the commands, all the entrepreneurs, all the techies in one space. And it's, daily on an average, they are kind of, reprogramming softwares, reprogramming drones. So it's probably the finest examples of war on the go. My second question, just because we have to see our perspective, how do we militarize ISRO to come up with same pace of response if ISRO has to be, let's say, ISRO and other missions like semiconductor mission, quantum mission, to be the Sam Altman for Indian Army or the Alex Karp for Indian Army?
So don't militarize ISRO. Let ISRO do exploration. There are enough people with brains in the armed forces to configure what space capacities needs to be. And who will execute them? Startups. बड़े startups हैं इंडिया में. कुछ को orders मिले भी हैं. ऐसा नहीं है कुछ नहीं हुआ है. बहुत कुछ हो रहा है. But that needs to step up. So space capacities conceptualized by the armed forces, delivered by startups in the private sector and mentored by ISRO. जहाँ इसरो की ज़रूरत है, बट हमने इसरो को सब आउटसोर्स कर दिया. इसरो के काम ही नहीं है. द पार्टनर ऑफ यूएस स्पेस कॉम इज नॉट नासा, इट इज नॉट बोइंग, नॉट लॉकहीड, बट एलॉन मस्क. वहाँ से कैपेसिटीज आ रही हैं अभी. So this is what we need to understand. It is not private sector for the heck of it. It is because private sector has the agility to deliver. So we have to understand the issue in its entirety. It's not about silos. It's not about India में क्या होगा जब हम space command की बात करेंगे. अरे यार, now the Fauj wants to create their own. It's not so. They need it. See, it's so important to get the security architecture right. You have to think through it. Israel, by its investments in units 8200, 9300, क्या है वो? They are young technology geeks. आप उनको सबसे बढ़िया schools, colleges से उठाते हैं and you give them rock star pay and train them in EW, space, cyber and all that. The US Air Force would have been nothing without units 8200, 9300. Technology geeks. And not people, जो मेरी तरह 50-60 साल में हम क्या AI करेंगे यार. We are what? Digital immigrants. We are not digital natives. अब ये देखिए कमाल. Israel 8200, 9300 and of course with a great deal of assistance from US, they establish air dominance in 3.5 days. Rising Lion. Russia, an equally potent military because it didn't get this act together, is struggling to establish air dominance even after 3.5 years. This is how important it is. Not just a technology piece. It is technology, innovation, talent, all these things coming together. There can be no technology without talent.
So coming back from this example of 8200, 9300, are we setting up some institution that fast tracks this, or are we going to depend upon previous institutions and try to improvise upon their paces? Because I think incremental things in India, the kind of institution we are, they are very lagging behind. So
we've had some remarkable successes. अगर आप आर्मी में देख लें, the Army Design Bureau, ADB, it was set up I think 12 years after the Navy did it, so we were laggards. But जब हमने उसको setup कर लिए, today there is a startup called Third iTech which has got an order from US Spacecom. There are startups in space who are doing a lot of stuff with USA. मैं आपसे आज कह रहा हूँ, when our relationship with US is a little, shall we say, stuck up, there are brilliant opportunities to do it with Germany and Japan, with South Korea. तो बहुत कुछ हुआ है स्टार्टअप स्पेस में, प्राइवेट सेक्टर में. आई कुड नेवर थिंक दैट टाटा विल डू अ डील विद एयरबस टू चैलेंज HAL. अडानी ने एक बनाया है अभी, आप एमनिशन में देख लें. दे हैव क्रिएटेड अ होल एमनिशन एंटरप्राइज ऑन दिस इंडस्ट्री 4.0 where you have small arms, missiles being manufactured at one place with the latest AI technologies, so on and so forth. तो बहुत कुछ हुआ है. But Dil mange more. We need far more. We need, what the startups now need is just two things. They don't need any mentoring. उनको आपकी सहानुभूति की ज़रूरत नहीं है. They need orders, orders and orders. Once they get orders, उस orders में से कुछ R&D में लगेगा, उस orders में जब आप orders देंगे तो VC funding होगी. That phase we are stuck in. तो अगर अगले 2 साल हमने बस orders दिए, orders, 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 our defense will rise to a new level. So a lot of good stuff has been done, but a lot more needs to be done.
Sir, regarding Pakistan now, and the chemistry between India and US is in a state of flux, and Pakistan probably cozying up to US in a way which was very unexpected, and also European Union not supporting India because of India's stance with Israel. We support Israel. So how our supply chain is going to be impacted, and when we talk about civil military fusion, how ready is our industry to see that our vertical integration of supply chain backend, procurement is also going to be very, very unpredictable.
So, we have to re-examine this whole business of strategic autonomy. What is India going to be? That Trump has reopened that question. अब आप देखिए कैसे ट्रम्प की सिग्नलिंग बड़ी क्लियर है, एंड इट इज़ नॉट इंडिया, इट इज़ टू ऑल हिज एलाइज. हिज रीजनिंग इज कि देखिए, माई कॉम्पिटिशन इज विद चाइना, आई विल compete with China, but I don't give any doles to China. So what is his argument with Europe? He says EU cannot compete with me and ask me to provide security for Europe. You make your choice. If I'm going to give you security, you collaborate with me fully. EU cannot be a competitive body to compete with the American economy now. And he's telling all allies, including India, to say that if you are an ally, then align with me. वो दोस्ती दिखाइए. That's his argument. I'm not justifying it. You cannot say that you are my ally, but you are autonomous. अगर आप मेरे एलाई हैं, आप मुझसे दोस्ती दिखाइए. जो मेरे को सोया वोया एग्रीकल्चर वगैरह में मेरे को आप गिव मी मीनिंगफुल कंसेशंस, देन आई विल रिस्पॉन्ड. इफ़ यू डोंट, देन माई फिलॉसफी इज केयर एंड अफेंड. मैं आपको डराऊंगा. तो कैसे डराऊंगा? पाकिस्तान के साथ क्रिप्टो करके, पाकिस्तान के साथ. ही नोज व्हाट पाकिस्तान इज. व्हाट इज पाकिस्तान यार? पाकिस्तान GD क्या है वो कहते हैं उसको, market cap is less than that of the Bombay Stock Exchange. जो बात करते हैं क्या $1 billion aid, an industrialist in Chennai will give it to you in 10 minutes. So Pakistan is not the issue. He's caring and offending. Now we have to take a call. And I think we are wise in that we are saying that we are not Pakistan. We cannot do that stuff. अगर आपको हमारी दोस्ती चाहिए, it has to be on our terms. We are the 4th largest, 3rd largest economy, great market, great strengths. We have talent, we have technology. So these are the fundamental positions. The Americans have to realize this, and we have to make a choice. Now, when we make these choices, there are consequences, like there have been with the Americans, but that doesn't close the doors of opportunities. Are we not about to do an FTA with the Europeans? Have we not done an FTA with Britain? So a country of India's size cannot behave like Pakistan. हमारा वजूद ही अलग है. But there are consequences for that. So we have to look at the whole, our national security outlook in those terms. And we have many opportunities. Now let me tell you, so many things I can tell you. Theatre commands, DRDO reform, say enhancing our defense budget, optimizing our defense budget, ये जो पूरा procurement reform, इसमें ट्रम्प क्या कह रहा है? इसमें USA कहाँ से आ गया? 75% of the reforms that we need to do in our national security space are cultural, structural. Not a penny is going to be spent. They are budget agnostic. तो अगर हम ये अपने बहाने बंद कर दें, Trump is hardly a problem. So there are complicated issues.
I got it.
So I think we have to take a look at all that. And therefore, our national security outlook has to be an integrated whole. We cannot say हमारी ये economic strategy है, ये हमारी defense strategy है, ये हमारी technological strategy. और आप विडम्बना देखिए, इतना करने के बाद these technology missions that have been set up, many of them, including Anusandhan Fund, there is not one military representative in that. So we are going with our silos.
So that's exactly what I wanted.
So let's return what we were discussing on offline, is the wisdom of Saraswati, Lakshmi or Durga Commission. Our convergences will take us to a new high. Trump is not the problem. He's only part of the problem.
So, sir, again about militarization of ISRO, I mean, some good wisdom, probably prevailed, or I don't know.
Why should you even ask this question? Should ISRO not have been an integrated civil-military enterprise? By respond to civil needs, agriculture, disaster, also national security. ये बात सवाल क्यों उठना चाहिए militarization of ISRO?
Okay, so when I say militarization, sir, that a component or a module has to be inserted in ISRO to bring it to the same level of sensitivity as defense.
So let me give you one example.
And similarly, Niti Aayog needs to have a percentage of defense representatives, just like UPSC has. Probably UPSC maybe. So more of top level institutions need to have a sizable defense representation, is what I understand, to bring that unified mindset or alignment which takes us to the same pace of response as Ukraine has proved, because even the civil military complexes are trained to do similar things.
See, where did these arguments come? मैं तो आपको बता रहा हूँ, हमारा wisdom is सरस्वती, लक्ष्मी, दुर्गा का मिश्रण, which is academia, wealth creation and instruments of power coming together. तो आप civil military तो छोड़ दो. This was our integration. ये arguments कहाँ से आई? They have come from Western precepts, civil, military, dual use. My question is, why did we adapt to them without thinking? देखिए dual use क्या है? Silicon Valley 10 years back told Pentagon कि we will not do business with you because if we give our good technologies to you, you will make them evil, military. और उन्होंने क्या किया? They shared those same technologies with Chinese companies, commercial companies. And Chinese commercial companies were mandated by law to share them with the PLA. So height of foolishness of Western liberal thinking, where you were denying technology to your own military, but giving it to the PLA. Now many of those things we have adapted. मैंने ये term सुने, dual use. China क्या करता है? So let me go before that. I've given you one of this, Saraswati Lakshmi Durga Commission. What is Sam Dam Dand Bhed? Sam Dam Dand Bhed in the national security foreign policy dimension is national interest by means fair or foul. Fair or foul. That means dual use is a pack of nonsense. जहाँ तक national interest की बात आती है, हर हालत में होगा. That should have been our thing. We didn't do it. Because see what the Chinese did. They adapted every modern Western military practice. Every modern military. So their economic zoom has also converted into a military gallop. But they never made the mistake of taking out Sun Tzu and Confucius from this narrative. They never forgot their civilizational wisdom. हमारे यहाँ भी चाणक्य हैज सेड, अगर शास्त्र को भूलोगे तो अपनी संस्कृति खो दोगे, पर अगर शस्त्र का त्याग करोगे तो राष्ट्र भी खो दोगे. He was saying, re-tap into your civilizational wisdom and sensibly position your instrument of force in your strategic calculus. How wise. So I keep saying India is not just a land of spiritual thinkers. It is a land of hard-nosed realists like Chanakya. हम उसको भूल गए. और मैं भी इंडियन आर्मी में हूँ. We went to these Western institutions where we were told Clausewitz. Clausewitz says trickery, deception, these are instruments of the weak. बुज़दिल करते हैं. Sun Tzu says they are instruments of choice. I suspect the Indian thinking is closer to Sun Tzu than to Clausewitz. ये चीज़ है. And just two more points. Z says, why build walls of granite between cylinders of excellence? Civil military cylinders of excellence, उसमें आप एक दीवार खड़ी कर देते हैं. Why? So they go and create what is called the poster child of military civil fusion, a thing called China State Shipbuilding Corporation. This is a very good example. It has 4 tiers. 2 tier जो हैं ostensibly they service the PLA, army, और बाकी 2 tier commercial हैं. तो West thinks कि ये PLA है और ये commerce है. Actually they are all integrated. Whatever capital and technology comes in the commerce is given to PLA. आराम से. Therefore, the Chinese State Shipbuilding Corporation today is not only powering global commerce, it has also made China the largest navy in the world. 500 ship navy, the largest in the world. और इतनी tonnage बनाई है, commercial tonnage, that in 2024 they produce more tonnage than the Americans have produced since World War II. Mind-boggling. In response, the Americans have now woken up and have taken shipbuilding directly under White House. And yet they are falling short, and they find that they have killed their own expertise in shipbuilding, and they are now doing a deal with the South Koreans. China may, if you are the owner of a private ship, I will tell you, the PLA will approach you and say, आपकी जो ship है ना, ये जो लोगों को घुमाती है, what are those called, cruisers and all, luxury, इसमें आप जगह छोड़ दीजिए, अगर ज़रूरत पड़े तो यहाँ पे ये मिसाइल्स लगेंगी, यहाँ पे गन्स लगेंगी, जगह छोड़ दीजिए. तो आप कहेंगे मैं क्यों करूं? द कॉस्ट डेल्टा इज बोर्न बाय द PLA. तो आप क्यों नहीं करेंगे? लुक हाउ इट इज कॉमन सेंसाइज्ड. दिस इज मिलिट्री सिविल फ्यूजन. AI की आज बात हो रही है. लुक एट देयर क्लैरिटी इन AI. इन AI दे हैव सेड सिविल डोमेन में दे विल बी रेगुलेशन, बिकॉज जी वांट्स टू नो, आप भाई आप CCP के अगेंस्ट तो नहीं लिख रहे हैं कुछ, बिकॉज ऑफ सम सर्वेलेंस. But if you are doing AI in the strategic military space, unregulated, to win the strategic military competition. Now they are two different views of life. Outlook का सवाल है. जब तक ये कल्चरल चेंज नहीं आएगा, आप ये करते रहेंगे. Military structure, civil structure. It is stupid. We need civil military fusion, but once we understand the deeper thought.
Sir, we have been worried about a unipolar world till America, maintains its supremacy. Now it's receding, hegemony. So how worried should we be about a unipolar Asia? And what steps should we take as a country and as top 5 institutions planning, defense, civil, bureaucracy, and our youth? How do we align ourselves to this threat? Because I think we need a very organized mechanism and interoperable system of institutions to find a real answer, because we are doing much better than ever before in our history, in our GDP, in terms of our economics, in our global stature. So a lot of institutions in India are now self-patting. But this self-patting probably will put us in a sense of complacency. So a lot of people are not taking the threat of China as seriously as America, far off America, is taking it. So we should be more bothered. Our institutions, our politicians, our leaders, our deans, chancellors, all of them should be more bothered about a unipolar Asia. How much do you concur with this fact, and what would you suggest, in this line?
See, I am happy that India has started finally thinking big. That's a good thing. तो जब हम बात करते हैं विश्व बंधु की, when we say विश्व विकसित भारत 2047, why shouldn't we say it? Unless you set ambitious goals, how will you ever achieve them? What do we tell our children? Do we tell our children to get 40% or do we tell them to strive for 95%? तो घर में तो हम ये कहते हैं, बट ऑन द नेशनल सीन व्हेन वी मेक दिस, आई हैव हर्ड द कॉन्ट्री आर्गुमेंट्स, अरे क्या 2047, क्या विकसित भारत. सो आई एम सेइंग दैट वी शुड बी रियलिस्टिक एज यू सेड. नाउ वी हैव इश्यूज. I mean, we may be the third, fourth largest economy, but our per capita income is what? Some $3,000 or something. When the Americans are pushing 70,000, the Chinese are pushing 18,000. So we have to take an overall view. But I am saying it is India's moment in the sun. We have to see carefully, or let me put it this way, India has the weight and the influence all right. जो आपने बात की, मार्केट्स, टेक्नोलॉजिकल पॉइज, डेमोग्राफिक्स. बट आप देखिए, डेमोग्राफिक इज़ नॉट अ रिसोर्स इन एटर्निटी. वाई इज़ अमृतकाल इम्पॉर्टेंट? अगर 25 सालों में हमने ये नहीं किया, दिस डेमोग्राफिक एडवांटेज विल डिसअपियर.
It will become a liability.
Exactly. So there is also the sense of urgency. But the moot point is that before we proceed to change the world, we must understand it. And therefore it needs deep scholarship in ideation. How do we address this challenge? How does this aspiring Vishwabandhu India navigate a world between, I would say, a threatened hegemon? I'm not saying it is sinking. It still retains, America still retains 25% of global GDP, and a rising challenger, China. Now, this is a unique moment in history. उसको करने के लिए we have to understand the geopolitics, in my view. Some of that thinking flows out from the national security strategy, where I think what Trump is doing from his perspective, he's saying, देखो, my military is in trouble, my debt is $37 trillion, debt servicing is $1 trillion, higher than the defense budget. Most economists will tell you that when the debt servicing exceeds the defense budget, you are in trouble. So he says, my military needs to retreat to the Western Hemisphere, repair itself. I have to repair my economy. And for the time being, I will concentrate on the Western Hemisphere. Europe must deal with Russia. South Korea and Japan and other allies must step up in their dealing with China. अगर आपने step up किया तो मैं आऊँगा. My military will shed blood only in the Western Hemisphere. In the other hemispheres, allies first, then me. आप ये नहीं कर सकते जो आप हमसे पहले करा रहे थे कि भाई इराक अफगानिस्तान में लड़ूं मैं और बादाम आप खाएं. I mean, you go on with your... Now, from his perspective, it's a very sensible thing. India has to see this, and that is the critical question. We have to come to this conclusion. Is USA pivoting out of Asia, or is it pivoting strongly in? Now, there are contrary messages. National security strategy mein it says, in the first island chain, combat overmatch. In the first island chain, deny aggression, but with the allies. But the larger commitment to Asia seems suspect. So in navigating this journey between a threatened hegemon and a rising challenger, is India going to be alone?
Should India treat itself as being alone and that will help, or should we keep on looking at...
If USA is pivoting out, we are alone. Now, if we are alone, I'm also of the view that the Americans in any case would never have shed blood and treasure for you. What they would have given you is technologies. In fact, that's the only thing we need from the Americans, cutting edge technology. If the Americans decide to show some wisdom, a technologically independent military and a technologically enabled India is in the American self-interest to balance China. But currently the Indo-US relationship doesn't reflect that wisdom. So the only thing that we need, even an autonomous India needs, is technology. And there we have to be wise. Tap that technology from, say, new opportunities like Europe, Germany, Japan, Russia, or the Americans. ये हमारी challenge है. We have the markets, we have demography in our favor, largely national security, we are pretty strong. We need to do reforms in national security, defense spending, ye wo. With Pakistan, it should be combat over match. Our economic differential should translate into strategic military poise. My overall argument is not of war fighting, it is of deterrence. You create such combat overmatch that Pakistan doesn't dare to do a Pahalgam. Does Mexico ever think of doing anything to the USA? We are somewhat similar. And with China, it has to be what I call asymmetric balancing, technological innovation. Ukraine, a country without an air force or a navy, let this sink in. They didn't have an air force or a navy. It has kept Russia at bay for 3.5 years. We are far bigger, far more potent. We have a very professional military. We can certainly balance China through technological innovation. So it's not difficult at all. There are challenges, there are pathways, we have to resource them. But अगर हम ये कहेंगे कि साहब technologically innovate करेंगे, but we will not complete the national security makeover. Let me also tell you, this government has initiated one of the boldest national security reforms in independent India. CDS, DMA, Atmanirbharta in defense, new normals in your strategic outlook. What was that? Balakot, Kailash. ये कभी पहले हुआ नहीं. These are great things, but we have to complete the national security makeover. अगर हम कहेंगे साहब थिएटर कमांड नहीं बनाएंगे, DRDO रिफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे, procurement रिफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे, then who is to blame? So we just need to do what we have to. One my favorite line is this. See, China is 5 feet tall biologically. But by what he does, he becomes 7 feet tall. And by what we don't do, we make him 9 feet tall. So he's only 5 feet tall. So I can see all the pathways. I see great clarity in what we could do. The challenge is making that do happen.
So we have internally, should I say, our institutions are internally sabotaged by our own lack of will or our lack of alignment. I mean, that's always my bigger concern, that we are such capable people.
We are sabotaged by the paucity of our own thought. See, the China is not a challenge because it is an autocracy and it executes well. How is China thinking better than us? That is my quarrel. We are Indians, yeah, we are the smartest people. I've told you what Kishore Mahbubani said about Indians delivering in the... Academically, we are smart. We are pretty shrewd otherwise. When it comes to these issues of national security, international system, wahan we display a very kind of inward-looking, mediocre thought. We have to overcome our own mediocrity. We have talent. There are, reservoirs of growth and prosperity. You're not exploiting them. And it has to be a conjoined growth. It just can't be economy growing at 8% and national security. All the wheels have to be lubricated together. और हो सकता है, क्यों नहीं हो सकता, क्या है इन चीज़ों में? हमने किया भी है, CDS बनाया नहीं, क्या DMA बनाया नहीं? If you had said 20 years back that we will go and strike Balakot, would anyone have believed it? हाँ, यहाँ पे यार India, no, we can't do it यार, we are not USA, we have done it. Look at DPI, is it not such a phenomenal success? तो जब हम करना चाहें हम कुछ भी कर सकते हैं और नहीं करना चाहें तो बहाने मारे जाते हैं. We should just, we are a victim of our own excuses.
Sir, one question that comes to my mind, which was recently very highly talked about on LinkedIn and Twitter, is that Indians go to US to build US, Chinese go to US to build China. So are we going to incorporate it in our policy, education, our youth ministry? How are we going to, because that's a very bold and a straight, statement. So how are we going to incorporate it into our institutions, and especially in the UPSC, which is, which is churning leaders that are going to govern institutions? Are we taking this? Are we taking a serious cognizance of this? As you said, that Cold War 2.0 is here. So that realization needs to seep into our top institutions. So yeah, your thoughts, please.
पहला आपका सवाल है, I mean, see, these are real pertinent questions. Now, I'm not the only one who can give answers. There are people wiser than me. But just a few thoughts. Why are Google, Facebook, and whatever is the next Chat GPT, DeepSeek, why are they happening abroad and why not in India? Why does Satya Nadella go and create miracles in USA and not in India?
Because, sir, Indian kids still go out and seek employment in these big institutions rather than creating value.
So, two questions. We should be able to incentivize future Satya Nadellas not to leave the shores by creating an ecosystem in India. अब उसके लिए capital, R&D का culture क्यों नहीं है? America spends $975 billion on R&D. $700 billion come from the private sector. In our case, the government spends 75% on R&D, 25% comes from the private sector. Why should it not be the other way around? What is strange is not that the private sector doesn't spend on R&D. Why don't they see obvious value in R&D? If you're not spending in R&D today, is it not telling you where you will be tomorrow? And if this doesn't change, Google, Facebook, and the next stuff in quantum will happen in USA and China. So these fundamental questions, we have to answer them. We should be able to create the ecosystem in India so that Satya Nadella is not encouraged to go out. Secondly, while that will take a little bit of time, what we now need to rebuild, national security will not be built by mediocrity, especially in these cutting edge areas of technology like next generation, say compute, what is that, edge computing, high energy lasers, quantum. It will come from high grade talent. There are startups in India who are paying their engineers, quantum engineers in crores. So there is a whole link. We have to appreciate कि भाई सब में प्रतिभा नहीं है उतना. So this equity argument has to be nuanced in terms of also promoting talent. So in the interim, like the Chinese did their 1,000 talents plan and diaspora strategy, can we get some talented Indians back at better pay? We have to find these pathways. और देखिए इसका फायदा क्या है? 2003 to 2007, in all emerging critical technologies, I'm told there are 65 subsets, the Americans led in 60 out of 65, lone superpower. Then China did this quiet stuff, 1,000 talents plan, diaspora strategy. And by 2019, the Chinese were leading in 57 out of 65. This is the value of talent. This is the value of keeping Satya Nadella at home or getting Satya Nadella back. So these are the issues which we have to think and implement, very, very seriously. Pratibha, what we call. UPSC ने भी create किया है Pratibha Setu. We have to encourage talent. There is the equity piece which is important. I've made that point, but there is also the talent piece. If you don't respect talent, you will not get the outcomes. So now these are the issues which face nations. We are on the precipice of great change, but greatness is not given. You have to work for it. And working for it means taking the right decisions on these critical questions. तो ये सब चीज़ें हैं, इन सबको करना पड़ेगा.
As a member of UPSC, sir, because this S&P ranking, the leading technology where US was leading almost just 1.5 decades ago, and China replacing US, probably they were close competitors early also. Do we need to link it to our universities, or do we need to incentivize it in some way? Incentivize leaders, technocrats, bureaucrats, academies, universities to come at par, because that's a very I don't know how far India is in these rankings. I mean, we just said that who was number one. I don't know if India is number 3, number 4 in how many technologies. Do you think we need to take it as a national mission?
See, there are a combination of things we need to do. Firstly, in that same tracker, there are many places we are in the first 10. Some of them we are in the first 5. So to that specific question, can we take just 10 technologies where we are in the lead and say, chalo, in the next 20 years, we'll become number 1 in those? We can. That is one part of the larger question is our whole outlook towards education. See, when I was in school, I recall, we had a chemistry teacher called R.P. Agarwal. he would on a Friday, and he was a very good chemistry teacher, on a Friday say ये लो बहुत हो गया chemistry, Shakespeare पढ़ के आओ. Why was he telling chemistry students to read Shakespeare? Chemistry teacher. He was wanting you to widen your worldviews. India में problem क्या है? We have got too many STEM graduates. Technology is extremely important, but it is not about coding alone. Where is the geopolitics of chips, the geopolitics of space? We need a balance in science and humanities. Leonardo da Vinci, who was a polymath, means a near genius, he was a combat engineer. But when he made that painting, Leonardo da Vinci, उनकी आप biography पढ़िए वॉल्टर आइजैक्सन की, मोनालिसा का चेहरा कितना चौड़ा हो, कितना लंबा हो, he has calculated with mathematical equations. It's mind-boggling if you read the book. Can you imagine 4 पेज का equation कि मोनालिसा का चेहरा कितना लंबा हो? Mathematics. But he himself says कि the gleam in her eyes or her cheeks, जो बाकी चीज़ें थी, it came from his deep understanding of humanities. So Walter Isaacson concludes that true genius lies at the intersect of humanity and sciences. When I was passing out of school, you were encouraged to have an all-round demeanor. उसके बाद मैंने ये देखा कि सब कुछ छोड़ दो, साइंस पढ़ो. We have regressed. So we have to invest. Mark Twain said, I became great because I took great care not to let my schooling interfere with my education. You should get done with your schooling fast. Your true and false or yes sub, and educate yourself through life. Now these are the largest changes that the education system needs in India. Wide angle business, balance between humanities and technology. अब आप देखिए, China, now that America has woken up to the Chinese threat, there is a book on China every week. एक डैंग वॉन्ग ने अभी लिखी है about, the engineering mindset in China. Tell me, इंडिया में कितनी किताबें हैं? Why has this whole culture of ideation declined? That we have to see. ये हमने जो silos create कर दिए हैं ना, अब कहते हैं what is that? एक हमारे यहाँ भी thinking general. अरे what general if you can't think? Is it not an oxymoron? Thinking general. Why do you have to qualify general with thinking? All generals should be able to think. Scholar warrior. अरे, so Arjun was not a scholar. You have to be a scholar to be a good warrior. तो हमारे यहाँ एक चीज़ बताई जाती थी, think like a man of action, act like a man of thought. So the first point is narrow, कि भाई take 10 technologies and build. But the larger point is this. Our education needs to be wholesome, well-rounded. We need everybody. We need historians. We need people who have a deep understanding of geopolitics. Kissinger met Admiral Karambir, the former chief of naval staff, and told him, when he introduced himself as the chief of naval staff, he said, I hope geopolitics flows in the veins of your officers. So you know what I'm getting at? It has to be a wholesome approach. ये जो हम साइलो कर देते यार, सिर्फ फिजिक्स पढ़ो, सिर्फ केमिस्ट्री पढ़ो, इसमें हम गलती कर रहे हैं. और जो हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम है, it needs to rekindle curiosity in those kind of issues and not reduce every exercise to true and false and match the following. I am from a generation where true and false began to kick off. उससे पहले true and false नहीं होता था यार. And so you went to school, you studied hard, you could be good in academics, and yet you could be playing games. Today we have made two silos. हमारे टाइम में जब head boys वगैरह बनते थे, they were all rounders, head girls were all rounders. I suspect that's not the case now. अब बस वो 96% की बात हो रही है, 96-98% की.
I also read somewhere, sir, that all these Shaolin monks, they're all highly disciplined meditators. So one side, they have this entropy of the human conscience controlled with their Zen practices. On the other side, they're great Shaolin warriors who excel because they control and shape their entropy and leading into very highly para-human capabilities. So I totally agree with what you're saying.
We really have to have well-paid teachers. That is where the whole... See, I am, when I was in school, we were to go to a debate. There's a place called Bits Pilani. वहाँ उस टाइम एक इंग्लिश डिबेट शुरू हुई थी. So my English teacher, a gentleman called S.K. Bose, he first rounded 20 of us. Topic वहाँ से पता था, non-alignment, something used to be a famous issue those days. He gave us the script, बोला रट के आ जाओ. 20 में से he narrowed it down to 10, 10 to 5, 5 to 2. Look at the pain he was taking. And then two, I still remember it was me and Ajay Seth. He sat with us for 3 months every evening and told me things like, to make a point, you don't have to raise your voice, drop it. Intonation, every word he would make us see antonym, synonym. So the speech got into your head. The concept got into your head. You linked the content with intonation, grammar. 3 months. Which teacher does it today? He gave you I went, and to my utter surprise, where there were schools from all over, the best schools in the country, Lawrence School, I came first. Now, see, that's not the point. What did that one teacher do to my confidence for life? He gave me a skill for life, not only public speaking, but this whole thing of being hardworking, of checking each word twice, putting it in context. It came from those 2 hours for 3 months. अगर हर स्कूल में 10 टीचर ये करने लगे तो will you not produce people as good in physics, chemistry? मैं ये कह रहा हूँ आपको कि भाई it cannot be mechanical कि डिबेट है, फॉर्म भर दिए,
जो निकल गया निकल गया.
How will it happen? And this happened in a place called UP Sainik School, Lucknow. Why did it happen? Because Dr. Sampurnanand, one of the first chief ministers, was an educationist. Sainik School, Lucknow, he had a simple premise. He said the salaries of the principal and the teachers will be double that of anywhere else. So we got the best teachers. And you will not associate Sainik School, Lucknow with a very glamorous public school image, but I'm telling you the delivery there. वो ये छोटी छोटी चीज़ों से होता है. One last example. I was just at the Morgan Stanley Summit, Asia Pacific Morgan Stanley Summit. Before me, the BYD chairman was speaking, Chinese. I was astounded. He said, we have 120,000 engineers working on R&D in BYD. So when he stepped off the stage, I went to him and I said, did I hear you right? Is it 120,000? He said yes, and when he was Indian, he was emphasizing it. He says 123 zeros. And then we got into a conversation and he told me कि देखिए BYD was told by their political bosses, whoever, कि हमको टेस्ला को हराना है. Simple.
That's all.
तो उन्होंने कहा टेस्ला का R&D बजट क्या है? उन्होंने कहा $5 billion. तो he said you will spend $15 billion. Political diktat. तो पहले तो ये. अब वो $15 billion उनको उन्होंने लिया. 120,000 engineers on R&D, not working on commerce and profit and all that. R&D. And in the R&D, they picked up 3 segments. Energy, what they call AI को intelligentization बोलते. Intelligentization and robotics. And he told me कि sir, energy में तो मैं इनसे आगे हैं, which they are. Intelligentization, we are behind, but we are working very hard. And robotics, the game is playing out, but we have an edge. BYD 3 months back in the quarterly profits was ahead of Tesla. So the games are played like that. What are we spending on ideation and national security if we have to beat China? Even if we are spending 100 crores, is it not small change to beat China? So we have to value R&D, ideation, and of course, ideation linked to action and then narration. The ideas must be solid, they must be long-term, they must be nourished, it must be followed up with action and then spin the story, narration. So ये है हमारा, these are the challenges about what we could do, must do.
Sir, I'll come to something very particular which has been, pinching my brains for a couple of years. Yeah. Almost 5 lakh people, appear for UPSC examination, and barely 1,000 make it to the cadres. So, do we, as a member, do you see that we are wasting the thousands or probably millions of man hours, and what should be the scheme to incorporate that knowledge which just gets spilled over, and they have to find another way of employing themselves because they are looking for highly coveted careers. They are capable people. So how do we utilize those millions of wasted man hours every year? And should UPSC come up with the thought that, okay, how do we utilize all these people who are earnestly trying to do something? That's first part of the question. And second thing, sir, we are talking about unification of commands, unification of AI, becoming, army merging with intelligence. But at the same time, we see a lot of universities where a lot of young, brilliant brains, they spend time protesting against institutions without knowing the criticality of what India is going through in these changing times. These are last questions, sir. Thank you.
So see, if a lot of people are applying for UPSC, it is also a good sign that people want the civil services are still prized, the best talent is coming. After all, who will administer those districts? Who will lead policing in those small districts? Who will take care of these insurrections and all that are happening? So government also needs talent. And our bureaucracies, if good people want to come, what is the harm? The second issue is that even those who don't get through to these schemes like Pratibha Setu and all, your mere merit is a way for private sector and other companies to pick talent which does not make it here. So this is a talent pipeline. Those who succeed, well and good. Those who don't, the same talent is utilized in other places. But the larger question, what you say, is also material. How, and that is a thing beyond the UPSC, it is a larger societal question. Should, as people are drawn to the civil services, should Indian youth also be drawn to the prospect of creating the next big company, the next Google, the next Facebook? Now that certainly it should be the case, and that will happen when you start giving orders to these startups, when money flows there, when VC funding comes in, when that market appears. Today, the best brains in the USA go to Silicon Valley. Does India need a Silicon Valley? Does the Indian military need a Silicon Valley? Of course. So there it is a complex argument. UPSC is an important pipeline, but it cannot be the only pipeline. Other pipelines need to get created. Some of them have got created. I mean, after all, private sector and business, and not in such organized ways, but in other ways, the IITs were a pipeline, the IIMs were a pipeline. So there, UPSC is not the only pipeline, but I would say we need many of those other pipelines so as to service the needs of India. And what was the second question?
The second question was, there are a lot of good universities where meritorious students go, but they get derailed under narratives.
See, we should have multiple narratives. We should have questioning of, चिंतन मंथन ये सब बढ़ना चाहिए. Why, even a protest वगैरह थोड़ा बहुत ठीक है, but if all the energies get dissipated in protests, it is because the other stuff is not happening. I went to Stanford University for a talk 3 years back. When I went there, I was shown 5 reserved car parks, and my escort asked me rhetorically, sir, guess ये car parks किसके लिए हैं? So I said, it could be Condoleezza Rice was on the campus, Mattis was on the campus. I said, उनके लिए होगा, President Stanford. He told me that these car parks are NL1, NL2, NL3, NL4, NL5. They are for Nobel laureates. Stanford has got 5 Nobel laureates on the campus. So the dean was thereafter telling me, let's see, what do these Nobel laureates do? First, the students see them every day, so they are inspired, there is a desire for emulation. And secondly, they get unlimited funding. When they get funding, they investigate the deeper issues of science, humanities. They don't waste their time in protest. By the way, the American universities also have severe challenges today.
Yeah, this last year was very new.
So the whole issue is this: the university system is a citadel for the India of tomorrow. Should we have politics? Why not? How did people like Arun Jaitley get created? But could it be more purposeful? Certainly. So in all these domains, I see the university system as a very important area. I'm not an expert there. We have such brilliant vice chancellors. They should do all this stuff. But the university system could be a very energetic place and yet be purposeful.
Well, sir, thank you. And I think we touched upon a lot of diverse topics. We're all integrated. At Sangam Business, we always like to bring luminaries and leaders, with diverse thoughts, so that we can bring up a very, argument which is very critically sound. And thanks for your feedback, and continue watching us on Sangam Business. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Jai Hind, sir. Thank you.